My father left for work at 7:15 on a rainy Tuesday morning. That was the last time anyone saw him. At first, nobody worried. He was often late. Sometimes he'd stop for groceries or stay after work to help a coworker. By midnight, however, my mother had called his phone nearly 50 times. It went straight to voicemail. The next morning, she contacted the police. Search teams spent days looking for him. His coworkers said he never arrived at work. His truck was never found. There were no signs of an accident, no witnesses, no clues. It was as if he had vanished from the face of the earth. Weeks passed. My mother barely slept. The cheerful atmosphere that had once filled the farmhouse disappeared completely. The house felt colder, empty, watching. One night, almost a month after my father's disappearance, I woke suddenly. The room was silent. For a moment, I thought everything was normal. Then I looked at the clock. 2 a.m. My stomach tightened. A second later, it began. Thump. The knock echoed through the house, louder than I remembered. Thump. The walls seemed to vibrate. Thump. The third knock shook a picture frame off my bedroom wall. I sat frozen in bed. The knocking had returned. The next morning, I told my mother. She looked exhausted. I don't want to hear about the basement anymore. But, no, her voice cracked. Your father is gone. I can't deal with ghost stories right now. I never mentioned it again. But the knocking continued, every night, always at exactly 2 a.m. As the days passed, strange things began happening around the house. Doors opened by themselves, lights flickered, objects disappeared, and later turned up in completely different rooms. One afternoon, I found muddy footprints on the kitchen floor. The problem was that it hadn't rained for days. The footprints started at the basement doors and ended at the bottom of the stairs leading to the second floor. Nothing else, no return trail, no explanation. I cleaned them up before my mother could see. Something told me she was already close to breaking. Then came the voice. It happened on a stormy night. Wind rattled the windows. Rain hammered the roof. I woke once again at 2 a.m. The familiar knocking started. Thump, thump, thump. Then for the first time, there was something else. A voice, very faint. So faint I thought I imagined it. I climbed out of bed and listened carefully. The voice came again. Help me. Every hair on my body stood up. The sound was coming from downstairs, from the kitchen, from beneath the floor. I moved slowly down the staircase. The house felt unnaturally cold. The kitchen appeared empty. Moonlight illuminated the basement doors. The voice whispered again. Help me. Tears instantly filled my eyes. I knew that voice. It was my father's. Not similar. Not close. Exactly my father's voice. Dad? I whispered. Silence. Then 3 knocks. Thump, thump, thump. The basement doors trembled. Dad, is that you? Several seconds passed. Then came the reply. Yes. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. It couldn't be possible. The police had searched everywhere. My father had been missing for nearly a month. But I knew that voice. Every instinct screamed that something was wrong. Yet another part of me desperately wanted to believe. The voice sounded weak, painful, as if speaking required enormous effort. Please, it whispered. Help me. I stepped closer. The iron ring handle sat inches from my hand. The wood felt ice cold. Dad? Come down. The words echoed softly beneath the floor. A terrible feeling washed over me. The voice sounded right, but something about the way it spoke felt wrong, as if someone were copying him, learning him, practicing. I backed away. Immediately the knocking started again, faster this time. Thump, thump, thump. The basement doors shook violently. Then everything stopped. The silence that followed felt even worse. I ran back upstairs and locked myself in my room. For the rest of the night, I sat awake holding a baseball bat. At sunrise, I finally fell asleep. The next day, I considered telling my mother. But what would I say? That Dad was trapped beneath the house? That his voice was coming from a basement we had already searched? She would think I was losing my mind. Maybe I was. That evening, I decided to investigate on my own. I found the flashlight my father had used during our first trip into the basement. The battery still worked. I waited until midnight. Then I hid in the kitchen, watching, waiting. The house remained silent. 1 a.m., nothing. 1:30 a.m., still nothing. At 1:59 a.m., the basement doors suddenly creaked. My blood turned to ice. The iron ring moved, slowly, by itself. The doors were locked, yet the handle lifted several inches into the air, then dropped. The clock changed to 2 o'clock. Thump. The first knock exploded.